Welcome to Musikpalast! Today we will try to understand what a leitmotif is and how it has been used throughout history. First, we have to understand what a musical motif is. Oxford defines it as a short musical idea which could be melodic, harmonic, or rhythmic, or any combination of these three. Now, what is a leitmotif? The word leitmotifs comes from the German word Leitmotif, which translates to lead subject or lead motive. The concept of the leitmotif is mostly associated with the use of a recurring melody or theme that alludes to certain character or place which appears multiple times throughout a musical piece. In this case, we will talk mostly about soundtracks from video games and movies. So, basically we have a musical motif, which is a short musical idea, and a leitmotif, which is a recurring idea. This technique has been notably associated with multiple operas from Richard Wagner, but mainly Der Ring des Nibelungen. As per Wikipedia, Richard Wagner is the earliest composer most specifically associated with the concept of the leitmotif. His cycle of 4 operas, The Ring des Nibelungen, uses hundreds of leitmotifs, often related to specific characters, things, or situations. While some of these leitmotifs occur in only one of the operas, many recur throughout the entire cycle. Wagner had raised the issue of how music could best unite disparate elements of the plot of a music drama in his essay Opera and Drama. The leitmotif technique corresponds to this ideal. Now, what does this have to do with video games? Before reaching there, we have to point out first that there are many movie franchises which started using this way of composing starting from the 50s, but being heavily expanded on during the 70s. Some examples can be found in Star Wars, for example the Darth Vader theme, as well as newer movies like The Lord of the Rings. Something I find super interesting is when leitmotifs are used to hint information before it happens during the plot. For example, here we have Star Wars The Phantom Menace, when little kid Anakin appears for the first time, and the Darth Vader melody is hinted in the background. Obviously, for whoever watched the old movies first, this is nothing new, but it's interesting to find this type of clues in the music.
And someday I'm gonna fly away from this place.
You're a pilot?
All my life,
How long have you been here?
since I was very little. 3, I think.
The Imperial March is such a memorable piece, mainly because of the modulation we have from G minor to E flat minor. That chord change hits really different, and this downward movement of a major third is the same movement we get in Anakin's theme. But instead of being in 2 minor modes, Anakin's theme modifies it to be in major. This could be interpreted as Anakin not being corrupted yet, but nevertheless already showing signs of the darkness in him. Now back to the video games. Throughout the end of the 80s and all through the 90s, we had the explosion of RPGs, and as we all know, RPGs are famous for having great storytelling, and the music became the perfect tool to enhance the experience. With composers like Nobuo Uematsu within the Final Fantasy series, or Koji Kondo in the Legend of Zelda series, the use of leitmotifs started to become the standard as a way to link the soundtrack to the story. This technique can be found today not only on Final Fantasy or Zelda games, but also in all sorts of video games ranging from Hollow Knight, the Metal Gear Solid series, the Persona series, or Resident Evil, just to name a few. For example, the use of the Final Fantasy Prelude has been a staple in each Final Fantasy of the series. If you find this topic interesting, I have another video talking about the evolution of this theme throughout the years. The first time Nobuo Uematsu used the leitmotif inside a game to bring a certain character or place to life was in Final Fantasy IV. Here, almost every main character was given a leitmotif, which we can find multiple times throughout the game. From here onwards, this would become a staple in Nobuo Uematsu's composing. Just like with Final Fantasy and the Prelude from Nobuo Uematsu, we find the overworld theme from Zelda being a constant throughout almost the whole series. But it wasn't until later in A Link to the Past where Koji Kondo takes the same route as Nobuo Uematsu and starts using leitmotifs for different places and for some characters. Some famous ones being Kakariko Village and Hyrule Castle. A nice Easter egg is that both Final Fantasy IV and A Link to the Past were released in 1991. This is a really interesting topic and there are hundreds of examples to take a look at. If you have different examples you would like to share, let me know in the comment section down below. Hope you enjoyed the video, have a nice day and see you next time.